Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the journey of entrepreneurs, investors, and thought leaders who turn challenge into opportunity. Today, we are joined by Ari Rastegar, a real estate investor, author, and CEO of multi-billion dollars investment platform. Ari is also the New York Times best-selling author of The Gift of Failure, a biohacker, and a father, starting with $3,500 in law school, build a global real estate portfolio across 38 cities and 7 asset classes. He's here to share how failures, discipline, and long-term thinking shape his paths and how anyone can turn setback into momentum. Ari, it's really a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Ari, what were some about the challenges and choices that shape you into who you are today?
Man, well, first, I think the challenges are what shape us no matter what we do.
Yeah.
Problems, and it's not an easy thing maybe to appreciate when it's happening because challenges also give pain. I saw the CEO of NVIDIA, one of the largest companies in the world, speaking
Yeah.
recently. And he basically said to the audience, I wish you pain and suffering. And it sounds like people really are suffering, around the world. So if we're fortunate enough to have the type of pain and suffering that can grow
Mm,
us, this is a luxury. But I can tell you that in this point in my life, I believe that problems are the gifts that we grow from. And
mm,
if we can take a moment to look at our failure in anything, whatever any type of skilled behavior, any type of skill, and you pause for a second, you get hit, you get knocked down, you wait a moment. If you can just pause and wait and then take a moment and look back and see what happened, pick the pieces of your life up for a second, I think there will be a lesson. And if you can get that lesson, and it's like sifting for gold, if you see people in the river, going
yeah.
like this for gold, it's mostly mud and dirt and, they're wet and it's soggy. But then all of a sudden you get that one little shimmer of that gold and it's all worth it.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I think that just speaks volumes, a particular quote I had on the Founders podcast, which make reference to that problem are opportunity in work clothes. And when we get to see it that very way, we get to appreciate
Yeah,
pains
Thomas
and
Edison.
yeah,
It's Thomas Edison. And he said most people miss opportunity because it shows up in work clothes.
yeah, 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 amazing. So Ari, tell us about how you went from flipping our burger and delivering pizzas to building multi-billion dollars real estate investment platform.
Well, when you say it that quickly, it doesn't sound like it took 20 years. You can say it in 10 seconds. In between those things were a lot of school, a lot of
Yeah.
work, law school, different businesses that didn't work out,
Mm,
children being born, being moved from
mm,
different cities, learning new languages, and basically fucking everything up along the way.
mm.
So, I saw, it's funny, these types of, you see people like Messi. I don't know if you're a soccer fan or not, but you look
Yeah,
at Lionel
yeah,
Messi
yes,
and,
yes.
they asked him about this in one of the interviews and he said, it only took me 17 years to become an overnight success. So I think one thing in my life as I look back, when I was a lot younger, I thought that things were going to happen quicker. I
Mm,
legitimately thought if I started a business or I did something and 6 months, I was just going to be, a Rockefeller. I was going to be, richer than Elon Musk. And life really happens in decades. When
yeah.
you look at things very closely, it doesn't seem like you're making much change. If you go to the gym and you work out real hard one day, you're like, I'm not, Arnold Schwarzenegger yet. I'm not, I'm not ripped yet. I don't look great. But if you go 2 days, 3 days, still nothing, 10 days, nothing, 200 days of going to the gym, you get in good shape. And
Yeah.
so the progress that we make isn't in a straight line and it compounds over time. So does compound interest when we invest money. So does failure compound the other way. If you hang out with, the wrong crowd, one time you go out, you're like, it's not a big deal. I went out with this group and nothing bad happened. I didn't go to jail. and then 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. You hang out with the wrong crowd 200 times,
Yeah.
you're going to get in trouble, some way. And so in the moment, it's hard. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And so it takes some moment of self awareness. That's why I'm a big believer in, finding ways to gain awareness. Meditation has
Mm.
been a big part of my life. Meditation has been a huge part of my life. And the meaning of the word meditation, I know people think, oh, I'm going to meditate, I'm just going to zone out and relax and or whatever, take ayahuasca or whatever bullshit people say. And that's not it for me. The word meditation, I looked it up, means to become aware. And how often would you change things in your life if you were aware that they happened? A lot of times, yes, we are aware and we ignore a lot of mistakes, yes. But of most of the things that we do subconsciously, good and bad, we're not aware of. We don't really know ourselves as well as we think we do. So taking a moment to close your eyes for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and using whatever technique, there's different practices from all over the world, tribal practices, Chinese practices, Indian practices, that you can learn this technique, but finding a way to become aware of your behaviors, aware of your feelings, aware of the conscious and subconscious things, only then can you start to change them and start to
Yeah.
improve them.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, Ari. Yeah. So Ari, earlier setback will shape your career. How did failure lead to some of your most important lessons?
Failure was all of my lessons. Success taught me nothing, maybe taught me to be a little more arrogant, to think that I actually did more than I did and forget that the grace of God is the only thing that got me
Yeah.
through the day. But when you fail, you take a moment to become aware again, right? Like you take a
Yeah.
moment to realize, oh, shit, what just happened? I spent all this time doing this, doing that. And that's very, very powerful. So I don't think I learned anything from success. Not really. That part was easy. But, just like, at the gym, that extra rep when you're pushing through and you're sweating and you're tired, that's when you grow. And failure is an opportunity to grow. It doesn't mean you grow for sure. You can fail and screw something up and then nothing happens. So to grow, I think you have to take the moment to go
Yeah.
through, look at what happened, think about it, retrace your steps a little bit. What went right? What went wrong? Maybe you got 90% you did right, but at the last moment you took a wrong turn. Think about if you're driving to go to the restaurant today and it's, 20 kilometers away. You can drive the right way 19 kilometers, 19 and a half kilometers. But at the last minute, you make a turn and end up in the dirt road, you don't get there.
Yeah.
So you can go and see you did most of it right. Then the last place you screwed it up, or maybe you screwed it up from the beginning. But the point is, you don't know until you take the time to analyze all the things that happened. And, oh, I did this right. Oh, that worked. Oh, this was a good part. That turn this way was right. No, I'm not going to go that way because there's a hole in the road. This side over here, and you start to analyze what that is. But very rarely, only the greatest performers in the world, when they succeed, do they go figure out why they succeeded also. But it's a lot easier when you're in pain and suffering to say, I don't want to feel like this anymore.
Yeah.
I think the biggest motivator is not inspiration. People say, I'm inspired, and they go do things. That runs out. But desperation, that's when things start to change, when you have no fucking choice and you're miserable.
Hmm. Wow. Having no choice when you're miserable. I think that is more like a tight corner to actually start from, and the fact that you don't have choice. You just have to do it anyway. Yeah. A
Yeah.
whole lot. Yeah. Amazing. So, Ari, in your book, The Gift of Failure, what was the key message you wanted readers to take away about leveraging setback?
Well, it's exactly what we've been talking about, is that failure is not a final destination.
Hmm.
Failure is a stepping stone towards the next thing that you're trying to achieve. And after writing the book and basically screwing up every single thing in my life that I can imagine, health, work, life, marriage, you name it, I screwed it up. My definition of failure now is learning how.
Learning how to. Amazing. I think just when you just said that, it just hit me that there's a particular quote about failure that helped me out again. And it says that keep failing until you don't fail anymore. That is persistence.
I like that. I like that. And then there's so many great ones. The greats
Yeah.
talk about this. So there's this guy, I write about him in my book. His name is John Maxwell. He's
Yeah.
written a
John
ton of
Maxwell. Leadership.
incredible, John what's yeah, leadership coach. He's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant man, and his concept is fail forward.
Yeah. Faith forward. Yeah.
But failure is not always forward. Like, you want to fail forward, but in basketball, you look at a jump shot. Well, one of the best jump shots is a step back jumper. So you step back, you create space, and then you hit the jump shot. And so that's the
Yeah.
same thing I think in life is sometimes you take a step back, you get
Yeah.
pushed to the wall, and
Yes.
then you get your feet under you, you make space and you hit the shot. And it's a very similar thing. So
Yeah.
yes, you are moving forward if you look at it over years and decades, but sometimes you look like you took a bunch of steps backwards, and that's where you're recharging, creating space, reevaluating, and then you go in and make the shot.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you for actually more like make reference of that. Yeah, so when evaluating our large asymmetric investment opportunity, how do you approach risk and decision making?
I look at it from just try not to lose money. A lot of people think about making money. All I think about is don't lose money. Just don't lose
Yeah,
money. And if you can think constantly about don't lose money, that makes you behave differently. It makes you think about,
yeah,
okay, have we done our due diligence? Have we looked at all the things that could go wrong? Because if you keep approaching an investment of how I can make money, of course you want to look at it to make money, absolutely. But if you look at it only as make money, your own emotions blind you to all the red flags and all the things that could go wrong. But if you walk into the investment thinking, what am I missing? Who's trying to screw me? What's happening here? Am I paying too much? How could I lose? What's the city going to say? And if you go through, how can I lose? How can I lose? And then you figure out all those little things. And once you've created those risk cushions, then you focus on how to make money. You increase the probability that you're going to do well.
yeah, amazing, amazing. I think they just people, yes, as much as you're willing to invest, don't lose. Stay long in the game, and yeah, don't lose. I think,
Don't just try your bet. You're going to
yeah,
lose. I mean, you're going to lose in everything, and losing is part of the game.
yeah,
And that's why you have diversification. That's why you go into,
yeah,
but,
diversification,
but,
yeah,
but still the point is to think about, do your homework, do your due diligence, and look at
yeah,
everything you possibly can first through how could I lose? How could I lose? What could I go wrong? What could go
yeah,
wrong? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? And spend more time on that. And a lot of times, if you do a deal, in my experience, we've done hundreds of acres, millions of square foot, and billions of dollars for, whatever. The times that I spent the most time of what could go wrong, those are the deals that did the best.
wow. Wow, amazing, amazing. So, what are some about the most common mistake you see smart people make with money or investment? Why
They
investing?
focus too much. They focus too much on how they're going to make money.
Mm,
Exactly what we just said. One is they don't start to save small because small savings adds up. It adds up over time. And like we said, the workout, if you save $10, you think, oh, it's only $10. I'm never going to be a millionaire. If you save $10 a day, $10 a week for 50 years and you make 7% interest in the
ooh,
market, you're a millionaire. You're a millionaire.
yeah,
So a lot of people don't have the patience to, delay their own gratification. And so
mm,
the most successful people in the world can delay having people clap for them, delay for looking successful. People want to look successful and not be successful.
yeah. They want to look successful than being successful. Yeah, amazing, amazing. So, what lessons from law school and legal experience have been most useful in real estate and entrepreneurship?
Everything in life is a contract. Even you and I meeting today on this call, we set a note, we set a meeting time, and we agreed to both be here and show
Yeah,
up and talk. This is a contract. It's a
yeah,
verbal contract that we we agreed to. Both of us could have violated, didn't show up, and this would be
Yeah.
breaking a contract. Same thing in a marriage is a contract. Buying a piece of real estate is a purchase and sale agreement, which is a contract. All religion are covenants, which is a
Mm.
contract with God. And so, meaning the law teaches us how contracts and how the civilized world has order. And once you understand how to work within the order, I think it gives you a huge advantage in anything that you do.
Yeah, order. Everything is about order. Yeah, amazing, amazing. I think this is really amazing. So, how do you simplify complex real estate or private equity deal for people who aren't familiar with investment?
Well, look, I think private equity, if you're not familiar with investing, private equity is basically investing money in private companies and then versus public companies that you see in the stock market.
Mm,
And you can do it and make a profound of money. But if you're just starting in investing, and I know again it sounds boring, but in investing, boring is beautiful. So
mm,
you want to go find a financial advisor, and everybody, just because
yeah.
you're smart and can make money at your job, learning money is like being an electrician or being a plumber
Mm,
or being an art. Like, it's a trade. It's not like just because you're a great plumber doesn't mean you're a good electrician. Just because you're a good painter, doesn't mean you can do good roofing. Like, there's a specialized knowledge. And people, when they start to make money, they think they understand money. Just because you can make money doesn't mean you know how to invest money.
wow.
And so going and finding a professional, like if I cut my arm, okay, let's say I cut my arm today. Do I try to stitch it myself? Do I go
No.
get some, just stitch it? No, I go to a
Yes.
fucking doctor. I go to say, doctor, you're a surgeon, stitch my arm. Same thing with money. Go find the surgeon of money and say, what do I do, doc? Dr. Money. And they'll help you just like the surgeon helps me if I stitch my arm.
Making money is a skill. Yeah, learning time.
It's a trade. It's a trade. It's a skill. It's a that people spend their life. You don't go ask a doctor how to be a lawyer. You ask a lawyer how to
Mm,
be a lawyer. You don't ask your lawyer to do spinal surgery on you. That's not and money, people confuse that, and it's a very simple thing, but it makes all the difference in the world.
yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Ari. So, Ari, for my audience who want to reach out to you, who want to learn more from you, and yeah, who want to learn more about this conversation and get your book, how can they reach out and where is the best platform?
Sure, they can listen to the book on Spotify, The Gift
Ooh,
of Failure. You can listen to it on Spotify. You can listen to it on audible.com. You can buy it on Amazon if you want a hard copy. If you want to learn about our investments, you can go to rastegarcapital.com. Or you can look at us up on all the social networks. I mean, you can find us on LinkedIn. You could just Google my name and see a bunch of the things that we're doing. We're on Instagram at Rastegar. But if you want to find us, you definitely can. But I urge everybody, who's looking to go in the book to read the book. And at the end of the book, I made a list of some of my favorite books also. So the value of the book is
mm,
not just the book, I hope. It's also to guide you in direction and give you a list of other things to read next that are probably much better books than mine. And hopefully that advances you on your path. And at the end, I put an email address at the end of it, and I read thousands of emails from all over the world of people telling me their stories. It's very moving for me. It's very touching. So if you do read it, please email us. And there's a team that's reading them and enjoying them, and very, very grateful if you feel so inspired.
yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Ari. Ari, your story just reminds us that building long-term success isn't about quick win. It's about resilience, discipline, turning setback into leverage. From law school loan to multi-billion-dollar investments, your journey just shows clarity, patience, and strategic thinking can transform any challenge into opportunity. Yeah, Harry, thank you for sharing your insights and giving our listener the framework for turning failure into momentum in business and in life. Once again, it's really a pleasure and honor have you on the show, Harry.
See you soon, buddy.